Would you like me to get the special coat with the wrapped round arms?
Please don't.
I've
go in the closet again.
Oh, that was the thing. It was the thing from it was from the Far Show. Is it? They locked us in the cupboard and fed us pins. Hopefully, we won't get into trouble for that. But it's only a tiny quote. Good evening. We've done that before. I'm not going to do it again. Hello. It's Friday. Yay! Yay! You can have a drink, as if you hadn't had already. I love the colour of this.
It's a really, really deep,
bloody.
Yeah. I could almost believe it's David's blood. David's blood, not my brother David's blood.
Fair enough. That confused me very much for a minute then. Hello and welcome back to Maybe Movies. And this is the second show for the week. We're now at 2 shows a week, as you've probably guessed by now. Yay. And very quick apology-ish for Wednesday's episode. New format and a very, very scrappy film.
It's messy.
Especially with sort of so much world building that needed to be done at the start. So it may have not been the best one to swap our formats on as well, but that's because we like suffering for our art.
Experimentation. It's all good fun.
So we're going to be picking up on Act 2 of Twi-World in a moment. Just before we do, one quick shout out, as we're now doing, to our friend Jordan Thomas Sendall. I've mentioned him before. He's a local filmmaker, photographer in Great Yarmouth here in Norfolk. Really good friend. We did a film a few years back called Switch, which was really good fun. I keep meaning to, if I can find it, if it is on YouTube, I will link it at the end of this video, so you can have a look. And also, hopefully somebody will get a chance to work with again later in the year.
Oh, yay.
Yes, please do check out his channel. Again, link will be in the description. See, I don't know the description is over here, but it should be below, shouldn't it?
It's down there. Yes, it's down there.
In the depths, in the catacombs, which is where we are, apparently, as we move on to Act 2 of Twi-World.
Indeed. Let's do this, shall we?
I need to kill myself with popcorn first. I did think this scene, the opening scene with this, so as we said, is where... Oh, yes, that's a point, actually. Mm-hmm. Just about this entire film. They spend an awful lot of time not in school.
Oh, yes.
When they're supposed to be in school. And no one says anything.
I'm trying to remember if there was a reason for that in the book or not. Of course, that doesn't excuse the film, but...
No. They turn up to school and then go off to the woods.
They do. It's just like, oh, you're just going to wander off campus, are you? Oh, okay. Oh, bye. Bye-bye.
And I suppose, with our new version of it, then we keep that conceit as well. Nobody questions why there's no teacher in their class, because they're off in the woods. But I did think this first scene, where she confronts him and they go off into the woods and it's the big reveal.
Yes.
Or other way around, he confronts her and they go off into the woods. I would say would change the music. It's one of those things where you go, why are you not playing A Forest by The Cure?
2 gold stars.
Thank you.
Oh, yes. Shane will appreciate that one.
Because we've got these 2 characters who are slightly more broken characters than what we had from the original. I imagine Michael being a bit more not sceptical because he's kind of figured it out, but I suppose the part of him that is still a scientist, he's a medical man, may still be a bit sceptical. But I imagine his entire approach to this is, once it's confirmed, is as a scientist. How do you do this? How about this? How about this? How does this work? How do you explain this?
This is unfortunate. I've read the book, so that is what that scene is in the book. It's her whole, so how does this work? How does that work? Why? How? Blah, blah.
Ah, okay.
It's condensed down a reasonable amount for the film. Not a huge amount. It's still an extended sequence, and a lot of what happens in the book in terms of action happens, but their conversations are longer. So yes, I agree. That would totally be, of course, $1,000,001 questions as a medical person. I imagine, because it's quite, like I said, it's quite an extended sequence. I actually broke it down into sections. So there's realization, and then there's say it. And I think say it is the moment that's going to have that weight, because as a scientific mind, saying the V word is going to have so much more weight than a random teenage girl, to be perfectly honest.
That is, yes, definitely, yeah.
There'd be some weight to that scene. The implication is, I'm not going to tell you if you don't tell me what you think I am. I want you to say it.
Mm.
Even if you think it's wrong, I want you to say it.
Oh, lovely, because that figures into my other point that I had about this scene. So I'm assuming that this is our first scene because it is the opening one of the act. I had it as my first one. Did you have this one as well?
Well, I had, because the next section of the conversation was the "you're sent" section of the conversation, and that was going to be my first pick for a particular focus, because we kind of footballed that, we couldn't have punted that down the field in the first act, and we do need to, that's where that conversation is going to happen.
Okay. So yes, that's cool. But yes, what you were saying there, it figures into that as well, because again, looking at Selene as well, she's very much, in my imagination, she's driven to this by her nature. It's not something that she consciously wants. She's not interested in romance. She's still learning to be this vegetarian vampire.
Oh, I see what
she
you
doesn't
mean.
want the complication of this, but it's presented itself, so she's trying to deal with that.
You're a complication I don't need in my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I cannot stay away from you. And that kind of sense comes into it.
Yes. Which is nice, because obviously we kind of skimmed over it because I kind of took it as a given, but like the field trip and the conversation about we shouldn't be friends, it's the same thing, but it's two of the teachers on the field trip having the same conversations to the students.
Yeah.
And this is a corollary or a follow-on to that conversation. It's that we shouldn't be friends, but I can't stop myself.
But this is, so, was there anything else you wanted to say about this?
I think we've covered most of that sequence.
There's one final point, which I thought, as with this is essentially a romance. It's a nice thing because there's a nice analogy here. It's, as there's this understanding that they are, whether they want to or not, attracted to each other, they are falling in love with each other. And it's about what she means to him. In that he's lost his fiance's died.
Okay, so it's one of those sort of I thought I'd never feel this way again kind of moments.
But also, here is somebody.
So he's bearing his soul to her.
Yeah, and here is somebody who is not going to die, which I thought was quite nice because it's analogous of the character of Madeleine from Anne Rice. What is Claudia to you? She's a daughter who will not die. So it's that same dynamic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
It's somebody that he can fall in love with that he's not going to lose through natural causes.
Yes, indeed. You know, Claudia was created entirely as a process of the grieving for her own daughter at the time.
At the time that I read it, no, but I learnt about it afterwards.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Exactly, yes, the fiancé that will not die.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Nice thematic. Oh my god, we're making this a deep film. What are we doing? What are we doing here?
We're showing that we should be in the movies and not them. On retainer, if you want.
It's not really one of my scenes, but we get the following sort of montage that I've labelled Together / Edward's story. Does Selene have the same story that she has in Underworld? You know, family devoured by werewolves, transformed at the moment of death, or is it something else? Is it more like Edward's story, where it's a sickness that saved it? It was a moment of sickness. And
both would work. I mean, I actually figured it out because I did look it up. I think she was actually turned sometime in the 14th century.
Oh, so 6 centuries, not 3.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, my bad.
So it could be somebody turned up because she was suffering with the Black Death.
Black Death, yes, much more thematically appropriate.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of, I think it was cholera.
No, yeah, Spanish flu.
Spanish flu, of course, 1916, yes.
But again, a slight moment. We can then keep that moment. So at the next day, the teachers turn up together in the same car.
Yes.
And the students noticing.
Of course, yeah.
And then we get more mountains for no reason at all. Which is the bit where we're talking about, yes, as you say, her becoming, if you like. And then we get the scene which we don't need. It suddenly cuts from that to they're back at her place and he's jumping on her truck.
Yes. Montage. It's a very long one. It's an extended one, but it's a montage.
The only thing about that scene when Billy and Jacob turn up, and she...
Oh, the blacks again, when they turn up for the game, yeah.
There's some kind of surreptitious jibes at Bella, isn't there? About that they've clocked who she's hanging around with.
She doesn't twig them, but yeah, we were aware of them.
We're aware of them.
Yeah.
I think, again, if we kept that scene in, it's going to play very differently because he's not talking to a kid and Michael's going to go, what the fuck are you talking about? You've got something to say it.
Would he, though? Is he that... He's not that aggressive. He's a doctor.
Okay, the way I put it there probably isn't the way that he would put it, but I don't think he would take it
Maybe he might say, what did you mean by that? I don't understand.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant, is he wouldn't take it lying down.
Yeah.
The way that Bella does.
Yeah. Sorry, what? I don't understand. What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Oh, nothing. It still makes sense, but yeah, you're right. They would challenge them on some level.
Happy Families is the next one I've got. Where Selene takes him to meet the others.
Oh, meet the family, yes. And that's your next one, is it?
It's just the next thing that I noted. It's not one that I've got particularly anything much to say about.
I don't have anything much to say about it. I think the dynamics are going to be incredibly similar. I know Michael's older, but it's still about vampires being nice to humans, not about older people being nice to younger people.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The only thing that might be slightly different is because I don't think Michael's a vegetarian. So they may be a little bit more on edge because they've been preparing meat.
Yes, and that's a thing we could play up. Yes, yeah, absolutely. But other than that, I don't think that scene's going to go terribly different. Although I imagine instead of a music collection, it's probably likely to be a gun collection. Just saying.
Yes, fair enough. No, I like that. Which did lead me to believe that maybe part of Selene's backstory is that she was sent here to investigate what these people are doing. What the Cullens are up to, because they're not like the rest of the vampire community. And they actually won her over.
You see, I'm doing world building shit, you see. So what, you say like the Volturi sent them to see if they were kosher or something like that?
The fact that, again, she's not a death dealer because they don't exist in this, but there must be something similar to a death dealer or an Archon or something like that.
The Volturi?
Yeah, the Volturi, yeah. And
they're like the Camarilla and the Archons rolled together, if you understand your Vampire the Masquerade references. You know, they are both the enforcers and the keepers of the law.
Cool. And she never came back.
Yeah, she's been turned, as it were. Yeah.
Yes, so I like that, because I did have it put down, what would Selene be listening to? Nothing, it's the sound of cleaning guns.
Yes. Yes, exactly, yeah.
Then we go back to the woods. Yay!
Going for a run/climb.
Yeah. Which then we get them hunting, don't we? They're hunting the other three.
Yes, the other three hunting, yes. And the diner scene / manhunt.
Yeah, again, most of those, there's very little that would be different, or certainly not noteworthy.
Exactly. This is mostly going on rails. For me, it goes on rails until Selene goes to take Michael out for the game.
Yes.
That interaction is going to be very different between, Edward and Charlie, and Selene and Charlie are going to be different conversations. Rather than, I've got my eye on you, be back by 10. Yeah. It'd be like, no, don't hurt my friend.
I imagine that as well, rather than, because they do it very formally, because of his time, he wants to introduce himself and announce his intentions, if you like.
Yes, of course, yes.
Whereas I think this is, because they're adults, it will just be that Selene comes up, knocks on the door, and Charlie answers the door.
Yes, but I suppose it'd be the opposite, because she's still 600 years old. It would be it'd be the other side of that conversation. It's not the prom date turning up.
Yeah, that's true.
It's her turning up with the dress back.
Again, if we want to, we could even have in there that she kind of squeeses his hand a little bit too hard because she's used to reacting to things so suddenly and violently. Of course,
no, she's got, good, good one. That was my second pick.
Which would suggest that we've both got the same third pick, which is the only scene left, which is the baseball game.
Yes. So, I don't know. It's meant to be frivolous in the film and in the book. It's meant to be the vampires being lighthearted. But I somehow imagine Selena taking it terribly seriously. She's got to win. Yeah. She's got to be there first.
She's got that competitive edge and she's a pretty good shot, so she's got good hand-to-eye coordination.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So she would want to play that up to it. I also see Michael wanting to pitch at the very least.
You know what? You're right. I hadn't thought about that. Of course he'd want to pitch.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like, ump? No, screw that. I'm pitching.
Yeah. Okay, you're going to be throwing those things that, I might not be able to hit the bat.
No, I can't pitch faster than your eye can see. I'm going to throw the first ball at least.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, apart from them having to occasionally tell Selene to remember it's only a game.
Yes.
It will be quite light-hearted.
That's what I mean. The comedy's going to come from her taking it too seriously and the others going, come on, it's just a goof.
And that's, again, where Michael comes up as a caregiver as well. Look, they're right. We're just playing here. Just, take a breath. Or don't take a breath because you're a vampire, you don't breathe.
Yeah.
But so take a few moments, remember this, it's all fun, we're all playing here.
And then the tempo changes very abruptly.
Yes.
With the arrival of the trio.
Absolutely. Which I must admit, with all of the disdain that I have for the original film, the antagonists in it were okay. I thought James is the way he's portrayed.
Yes.
It's on point. The guy who plays him is very good at it. He's got the right look for it and everything as well. And I was like, actually, this guy, he feels like a threat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose, again, it's an instinct for me to translate it to RPG terms. But James is a bit of a Mulcavian, I think. Well, he said he's a little bit crazy. It's not about whether he can win or not. It's you've challenged me and I must best you.
Interesting, because my first thought would have been Bruges. But no, that makes more sense.
What was it? Laurent, he said, for James, it's all about the hunt and the challenge.
Yes.
Of course, as soon as he met the girl, it was the hunt. Yes. And then when
Edward
clumsily confronted him, he was like, oh, it's on, bitch.
So it's a hunt and a challenge. Oh, yeah. Well, yes, yeah.
So there's like there's like an OCD to it. So I kind of think of him as a little bit of a kind of very high-functioning Malkavian. Sorry, guys, I know this is RPG talk on a movie channel, but it happens.
Big smelting pot of things, and we put them in terms that we understand. And if you've never played World of Darkness, then you really should, because it's awesome. Rather than having it's the wind that catches Bella's hair and he picks up the scent.
That always struck me as very contrived, because, aren't they supposed to have incredibly heightened senses anyway?
Exactly.
And he was standing, 10, 15 feet away from her at the most?
It does feel like plot-induced stupidity.
It does.
But what I was going to say, because we are in this plot and we have to include those kind of contrivances in there, rather than it being the wind brushing through his hair...
Sorry, continue.
He's been involved in the game. He's worked up a sweat. He smells his sweat.
Because he's running and pitching and not just humping.
Yeah.
Yes, nice. Yes, that's nice. That's a very obvious. It's a very easy to give visual cue for the audience as well, isn't it?
First thing I go to is Total Recall. It's just
that's what I was thinking when I was describing the sweat. Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I think that's the trigger. And then it plays out the same way. No, we're leaving. We will get less of the timidness from Michael, because again, he's a big bloke.
Yeah. He's not going to sit back and...
Yeah. So even more so, that's going to enrage James even more. Not only is it the hunt and the challenge, the prey is challenging me as well.
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. It adds layers to it.
Yes.
It adds layers. Like an onion.
I've been waiting for that for so long.
Just like an onion. We're almost making this a real story.
Well, that's what happens when things come into delirium. Maybe what comes out is slightly better than what came in.
Maybe. I don't know.
You'll have to tell us.
But that does seem to bring us to the end of Act 2.
Cool, so we have reached the end of Act 2, and we still haven't broken this.
Not yet.
Hopefully I've been able to add a little something extra to it.
Feels like we've added something. I don't know if that something is quality or not.
There's more conflict in this.
Yeah, there is. There is.
And the characters don't feel like they've just been made out of MDF in a work class at school.
Sounds about right.
Excellent. So please do come back and join us next Wednesday for Act 3 of Twi-World, where we will see if we can actually get to the end of the film without tearing it to shreds.
I don't think so.
And again, if you disagree with anything that we've said here, or if you have anything, if there's anything that you think that we've missed or that we could look at in Act 3, if there's any particular scenes that you'd like us maybe to address, then please let us know in the comments, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. In the meantime, have a brilliant weekend, and we will see you next week. Take care.
As always, until next time, TTFN, guys.
Ba 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 ba.